Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is so great to have you with us today.
It really is. Thanks for tuning in.
So, if you're listening to this, you're probably someone who isn't quite satisfied with just textbook English.
Right. You've done the work, you know the grammar rules, you've memorized the vocabulary list.
But you want something more. You're looking for that next level. You want to understand the feeling of the language.
Exactly. I love that you put it that way. It really is the difference between knowing how to build a car engine from a diagram and knowing how to actually drive that car in rush hour traffic.
That's a perfect analogy. And today, we are definitely focusing on the driving part. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of the social mechanics of English conversation.
And we have what I think is a perfect case study to do it.
We do. We're going to be analyzing a fantastic 3-part series from the Mr. English program. Now, on the surface, it sounds incredibly simple. It's just a story about 2 colleagues, Anna and Leo, making plans for the weekend.
But as we all know, making plans, especially with someone you don't know all that well, like a colleague, it's actually quite complex, isn't it?
Oh, it's so complex.
It is a social dance. That's the best way to describe it. You don't want to be too aggressive, too forward.
You also don't want to be too passive, or they'll think you're not interested.
Exactly. You want to be polite, but you also need to be clear enough that a plan actually gets made.
Right. Because if you get the steps wrong in this little dance,
yeah,
you step on someone's toes.
Okay.
Or even worse, you end up sitting at home alone on a Saturday night wondering what went wrong.
That is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So to help us and you navigate this, we have 2 really interesting layers in our source material.
Okay, let's lay those out.
First, we have the narrators, Alice and Tom. You can think of them as the teachers or the coaches. They're explaining the linguistic rules and the social strategy behind the words.
And then we have the characters, Anna and Leo. They're the ones in the scene acting it all out for us.
Right. So we get both the what's and the why.
And just to give everyone a bit of a roadmap of where we're going today, this story has a very clear, very logical arc. It starts on a Friday afternoon at the office. You can just feel that end of the week energy.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's ready to clock out.
Then it moves through what is actually a kind of high stakes invitation to an art exhibition.
Yeah, that's a big step. Art exhibitions can feel a little formal.
A little intimidating for sure. And then it ends, somewhat surprisingly, with a concrete plan to eat burgers.
Hi, art and burgers. I have to say, that is a very balanced weekend.
It really is, the best of both worlds. So our mission today is to break this all down chronologically. We're going to look at every line, every word choice, maybe even every pause.
We really want to give you, the listener, the confidence to go out and have this exact same kind of conversation.
It's about moving beyond just asking, what does this word mean?
Yes, and asking the more important question, why did they choose this word in this moment? That's where the real learning happens.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, are you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're starting right at the beginning. Part 1, the opener. Or how to break the ice without making it awkward.
So you have to picture the scene. It's Friday afternoon. The energy in the office is winding down. People are packing up their bags, thinking about the weekend.
The finish line is in sight.
Exactly. And Anna decides she's going to approach her colleague, Leo. She wants to start a conversation and, potentially make a plan.
This is the moment of truth.
It is. And Alice, the narrator in our source, she gives the phrase, Anna uses a very special name. She calls it the magic key.
The magic key. Okay, that's a very strong label. If something's a magic key, it must open a really important door.
It does. It opens the door to a social interaction.
What is the phrase? Let's hear it.
The phrase is, do you have any plans for the weekend?
Do you have any plans for the weekend? Huh. It seems so simple. So everyday. If I saw that in the textbook, I think I might just skim right over it. Why does Alice give it this elevated magic key status?
Well, to understand why it's magic, we first have to look at the alternative, the thing most people might say instead.
Okay.
The source material does a great job of contrasting this friendly question with a question that a lot of English learners use, often by mistake. And that question is, what is your plan?
What is your plan? Okay. I can immediately hear a difference in my head, but let's really, really analyze it. What is your plan? Considered the wrong choice here.
Tom, the other narrator, has this absolutely brilliant explanation for this. He says that asking, what is your plan, sounds like a police interview.
A police interview?
Yes. Can't you just picture it? There's a bright light shining in your face. A detective slams his hand on the table.
Imitating, where were you on the night of the 15th? What is your plan?
Exactly. It sounds so intense. It's like an interrogation. It creates all this pressure.
Why, though? What's creating the pressure?
It's the what. What is your plan? Demands a specific answer. It demands a noun, a report.
Right. It's not a yes or no question.
No. And if Leo doesn't have a plan, and Anna asks, what is your plan? He's suddenly in a very difficult, very awkward position. He has to basically admit, I have nothing. And that can make him feel, I don't know, boring or unprepared.
Right. It feels like a test that he might fail. Like if he says, my plan is to do my laundry and stare at the ceiling, that doesn't sound very cool or exciting.
Not at all. It makes him feel like he has to justify his existence. But now, let's look at the magic key again. Do you have any plans? Notice the difference.
It's a yes or no question.
That is the absolute genius of it. Structurally, it's completely different. It's open, it's soft, it's gentle.
Gives him an easy out.
Completely. If the answer is no, that is a perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable answer. It doesn't make things awkward at all. It signals, hey, I'm just curious, not, I require a detailed report of your upcoming activity.
So it's all about being low pressure. That's the secret. It's designed to protect the other person's feelings in a way.
Precisely. It allows the conversation to start gently. It's like easing a boat into the water instead of just dropping it from a crane.
That's a great image. Okay, so Anna has used the soft opener, the magic key. Now let's look at Leo's response, because he needs to answer. He doesn't just say no.
No, he doesn't. He says, not yet.
Not yet. 2 tiny, tiny words. But the experts in our source material say this is a very strategic answer. Why is that?
Well, think about what would happen if he just said no. Imagine the scene. Anna asks, do you have any plans? And Leo just says, no. What happens to the conversation?
It dies instantly. It just hits a brick wall.
Yeah.
No, and then there's just silence.
Awkward silence, exactly. It almost sounds like a rejection, not just of having plans, but a rejection of the conversation itself. It closes the door that Anna just opened.
But not yet. That's different.
Completely different. Not yet implies possibility. It implies that the story of the weekend hasn't been written yet. It means I don't have a plan right now at this very second, but I'm open to creating one.
Ah, okay. It's like a traffic light. A simple no is a hard red light. Stop. But not yet is like a flashing yellow light.
I love that. What does the yellow light mean?
It means proceed with caution, but definitely proceed. The road is open.
That is a perfect metaphor for it. It signals availability without sounding desperate. He isn't saying, oh, thank goodness you asked. I have nothing to do. Please hang out with me.
Right. It's not needy.
Not at all. He's just saying the calendar is currently open. What's your idea? It puts the ball back in her court, but in a very positive, encouraging way.
And then Leo does something else that's very, very clever. He doesn't just stop at not yet. He immediately follows up with his habits. He says, I usually just go to the gym and watch movies.
Okay, yes. Here's where the conversation gets really interesting from a social perspective, because he uses that specific word, usually. And the source material actually takes a moment to break down the mathematics of this word.
Oh, I love when we get into the math of language. It feels so concrete.
It is. So Tom gives us a very specific definition. He says, usually means most of the time, and he gives a clear numerical example to back it up.
What's the example?
He says, if there are, say, 5 weekends in a month, and you do something on 4 of those 5 weekends, you would say you usually do it.
So we're talking about what, an 80% frequency rate?
Exactly. It establishes a very high frequency. It's not always. That would be 100%, 5 out of 5. And it's not, sometimes that might be 50% or less. It's usually a strong habit.
Okay, so mathematically that makes sense. But socially,
Yeah.
why does he share this? He just told Anna he has no plans for this specific weekend, right? With his not yet. So why does he immediately start talking about what he does on other weekends?
This is such a crucial piece of that social dance we talked about. He's filling the silence.
Oh.
If he had just said not yet and stopped, all the pressure would go immediately back onto Anna. She would have to think of the very next line right then and there.
Right. It would be her turn again. He's helping her out. He's carrying the conversation with her.
He is co-piloting the conversation by adding, I usually go to the gym and watch movies. He's giving her more information. He's giving her new topics, new hooks to hang the next part of the conversation on.
Oh, that's smart. So she could ask about what gym he goes to or what kind of movies he likes.
Yes. He's painting a little picture of himself for her. He's essentially saying, in case you were wondering, I'm a normal guy. I like fitness. I like relaxing and watching films.
It makes him seem much more approachable and human, rather than just a guy with an empty schedule. It keeps the conversational ball rolling smoothly between them.
That's the key. It's all about maintaining that forward momentum.
So to just quickly recap part 1 here, the stage is now perfectly set. Anna used the magic key. Do you have any plans? To open the door softly.
Leo then signaled he's free, not yet, but also established that he has a routine and a personality, usually.
And now Anna has the clear opening she was looking for. She knows he's available, and she has a sense of who he is.
Which brings us directly to part 2. The invitation. This is where the risk level goes up a little bit.
Yeah, this is where it gets real. So we're in Source Episode 2, The Invitation. Anna decides to make her move.
Yeah.
She invites Leo to a very specific event, a new art exhibition on Saturday morning.
And we have to acknowledge, inviting a colleague to do something outside of work one-on-one, that's always a little scary.
Oh, for sure. All those questions run through your head. What if they say no? What if they think it's weird? What if they think I'm asking them on a date and they don't want to go on a date?
All of that. And that is why the exact structure Anna uses for the invitation is so incredibly important. She says, "Would you like to come?"
Would you like to come? It sounds very elegant. Very proper.
It does. And Alice in the source, she specifically notes that this structure is very polite and kind. Now, let's contrast this with a more blunt command. Imagine if Anna just pointed at him and said, "Come with me."
Shut up. Me. That sounds incredibly aggressive. It sounds like an order from a boss or maybe a general in the army. Come with me, soldier. We're going to see some art.
Exactly. It completely removes their choice from the equation. It's a demand, not an invitation.
Even a phrase like, say, "Do you want to come?"
Yeah.
is okay, but it feels a little more casual, maybe a bit more direct.
It is. But would you like to? Just elevates the tone. It shows a level of respect. It creates this small, polite distance that makes the other person feel like their choice is genuinely valued.
And Tom, the other expert, he points out that this structure is unbelievably versatile.
Oh, it's a game changer. Once you master "would you like to," you can use it for almost any request or invitation. Would you like to have lunch? Would you like to study together? Would you like to hold this very heavy box for me?
It softens any request, no matter what it is.
It does. Now, speaking of this exact phrase, we have to talk about how it actually sounds in the real world. Because if a learner reads this in a textbook, they might read it out like a robot. Would you? Like, come?
Beep boop. Yes. Would you like to come?
But nobody, and I mean nobody, speaks like that. And the source material has a really fantastic pronunciation spotlight on this. They break it down phonetically.
How do they write it?
They write it as "woulja like ta."
Woulja and like ta. Okay, let's break that down.
Let's do it. The first part is would and you. They blend together. The D sound at the end of would and the Y sound at the beginning of you combine to make a soft ja sound. Woulja.
Woulja, woulja. Okay, I can feel that in my mouth. And the second part?
That's like and to. The K sound at the end of like flows directly into the T sound of to, and the vowel in to gets reduced. It's not a strong to sound, it's a soft ta, like ta.
Would you like to?
Would you like to come in?
It's so much smoother. Now, why do native speakers do this? You hear people say it's because we're lazy or we're trying to save energy. Is that it?
It's really not about laziness. It's all about flow and rhythm. English is what we call a stress-timed language, which means we want to move quickly between the important stressed words in a sentence.
And in this sentence, the important word is come. That's the destination.
That's the action. That's the key information. The rest of it, would you like to, is just the grammatical vehicle that gets us to that destination.
So we speed up the vehicle to get to the destination faster.
That's a perfect way to think about it. Blending those sounds makes the whole sentence smoother, faster, and more rhythmic. It signals fluency. So for our listeners, if you really want to sound more natural, try practicing that blend. Don't worry about enunciating every single letter. Just listen for that woulja.
Okay, fantastic tip. So Anna has asked the polite question in a very natural sounding way. Now, the ball is back in Leo's court. We need to look at his reaction. And again, he doesn't just say yes.
No, his response is full of emotion. He says, "Oh, I'd love to."
And there is a huge emotional difference there, isn't there? Yes is a fact. I'd love to is a feeling.
Yes, that's exactly. Yes is simple agreement. It's data. But I'd love to is enthusiasm. It's energy.
The expert in the source points this out, that it shows energy and happiness about the invitation. You have to think about it from Anna's perspective for a second.
Right. She just took a social risk. She put herself out there and invited a colleague out. She's probably feeling a little nervous in that moment.
Waiting for the answer. maybe sweating a little bit,
Ah.
holding her breath.
Exactly. So when Leo responds with, "Oh, I'd love to," it's like a reward for her bravery. It makes her feel good. It validates her decision to ask.
It tells her, I am not just coming along because I have nothing else to do. I am coming because the idea of spending time with you at this event makes me genuinely happy.
That is such a key distinction. It's not just accepting a plan, it's building the relationship. But then,
Leo adds a very interesting detail, a little disclaimer. He accepts, but then he immediately adds, I'm not very good at art.
yes, I'm not very good at art. I absolutely love this line.
Me too. It's so revealing.
So why does he say this? Is he actually afraid Anna is going to give him a pop quiz at the gallery? For your final question, identify this obscure Dutch painter or you have to go home.
No, I don't think so. Tom, in the source, explains that the phrase itself simply means you lack skill or knowledge in a particular area. But we have to look at the social context. Why would you bring up your lack of skill right after you enthusiastically accept an invitation?
It feels like vulnerability, right? He's just being open and honest with her.
It is vulnerability, and it's also a very smart social strategy that we call managing expectations.
Managing expectations. Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, imagine the alternative. Imagine if he doesn't say that. He just says, I'd love to. And they go to the art exhibition. And maybe he feels like he has to pretend he knows everything about art. He's nodding seriously at the paintings, stroking his chin.
Art can look very profound.
Yes. And then he says something completely wrong, like, oh, yes, Picasso's famous water lilies. He looks foolish. He looks arrogant. He set himself up for failure.
Right. Okay. I see. But by saying up front, just so you know, I'm not very good at art, he completely lowers the bar. He takes all the pressure off himself. He's giving himself permission to be a novice.
He's basically saying, I am really excited to go with you, but please don't expect me to be some kind of art critic.
Exactly. And then he balances it perfectly with the next part of the line. He says, but I like looking at it. This creates the perfect combination. I'm not an expert, which shows humility, but I do enjoy it, which shows his enthusiasm is real.
It creates such a relaxed atmosphere for the whole event. It tells Anna, hey, we can just walk around and look at pretty things and enjoy each other's company. We don't need to have some deep intellectual debate about cubism.
It really sets a tone for a fun, low-stress hangout. So at this point, they've broken the ice, they've established the main event. But an idea for a plan isn't actually a plan until you lock in the details.
Which leads us directly to part 3.
Yeah.
Making it real. The logistics.
Or as I like to call it, the boring stuff that actually matters the most.
Yeah, that is so true. So we're in source 3 now, the logistics phase. And I feel like this is where so many potential plans go to die. People say, we should totally hang out sometime. The other person says, yeah, let's do it. And then crickets.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Because they never answer the two most important questions, when and where.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to cross that bridge from a vague idea to a concrete reality.
So in our story, Leo actually takes the initiative here. He helps move things forward. He checks his availability and says, I'm free all morning, which then lets them get into the specific time, 10:30 a.m.
And right here, we hit a very specific, very important grammar rule that Alice and Tom make sure to highlight. It's the preposition rule for telling time. This is something that trips up so many learners, but the rule is actually quite simple if you can visualize it.
Okay, let's break it down for everyone. The two big ones are at and on.
Right. The rule they give is simple. Use at for specific times on the clock, at 10:30, at 5 p.m., at noon, at midnight.
I like to think of at like you're throwing a dart at a dartboard. It's hitting a very specific point in time.
That is a great visualization. You were pointing at the time. And then you use on for the bigger containers of time, like days, on Saturday, on Monday, on my birthday.
So putting it together, you get on Saturday at 10:30.
Perfect. It's clean, it's accurate, it sounds professional, and it clears up any possible confusion. If you say in Saturday or at Saturday, native speakers will probably understand what you mean, but it just sounds a little off.
Right. Using the correct preposition is one of those little things that makes you sound like you've really mastered the system.
It really is. Okay, so the time is set, 10:30. Now, Anna throws in a bonus suggestion, and this involves one of my absolute favorite vocabulary words in this entire series.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
She says, do you want to grab some lunch?
Right.
Yes. Let's do a deep dive on this word because it is doing so much work in that one little sentence. It really is, because literally the word grab means to snatch something quickly, right? Like if I see your pen on the table and I take it quickly with my hand, I grabbed it.
Yeah, it has a slightly aggressive, quick physical action associated with it. But
Okay.
socially, when we start talking about food, it takes on a very specific, very different meaning.
Exactly. Alice explains in the source that it means having a casual, quick meal.
So you would never, ever say, let's grab a 5-course French dinner that will last for 3 hours.
No, absolutely not. That would sound completely ridiculous. Grab implies casualness and speed. Tom gives a few other great examples, like let's grab a coffee or let's grab a snack.
It implies that the food isn't the main formal event. The hanging out is the main event. Or at least that the meal itself won't take all day.
Precisely. And in this context, where does Anna suggest they go for lunch?
She suggests a burger place nearby.
It's perfect, isn't it? Burgers are the absolute definition of grabbing lunch. You literally hold the food in your hand and grab it.
It fits the vibe perfectly. Anna's reinforcing that this is a casual, fun date or hangout. Art exhibition first, then burgers. It's fun, it's modern, it's unpretentious.
And using that specific word, grab, signals to Leo that this isn't going to be a high-pressure, expensive meal. It's just grabbing a burger. Relax.
It's one of those words that makes English sound so much more natural and friendly. Let's grab lunch. It's just so much better than saying, let us consume a midday meal together.
Let us now ingest the necessary nutrients to continue our day. Yes, grab is much, much better. It signals that you're a relaxed, easygoing person.
So Leo, of course, agrees to this excellent plan. And he uses a closing phrase that I think I probably use every single day. He says, that sounds like a plan.
Ah, yes. The classic. This is an idiom and a very, very common one. Sounds like a plan.
But what does it actually mean? If you think about it, it seems a little redundant. Of course it's a plan. We just made it.
It's doing more than just stating a fact. It's signaling two things at once: agreement and action. It means, number one, I agree with your idea, and number two, the discussion is over, and we are now going to do this thing.
Like a verbal handshake.
A verbal handshake. That's the perfect description. It tells the other person that the decision-making process has concluded. We don't need to debate times or places or food anymore. The plan is set in stone.
It's the closing bracket on the conversation. We started with the question, do you have any plans? And we end with a statement, sounds like a plan. It's nice symmetry.
It is. And then they just confirm the final detail, the meeting point.
Yeah.
In front of the gallery. Now, there is zero confusion. They know the day on Saturday. They know the time at 10:30. They know the activity art and grabbing lunch. And they know the location.
They have successfully navigated the social dance from start to finish.
They have. They survived the potential awkwardness and built a solid bridge of communication.
So let's pull back for a moment and look at the whole picture. Let's move into part 4. The synthesis and review. If we look at the entire arc of this conversation, it really is a perfect model for any learner, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a recipe you can follow. Let's just walk through those steps one last time to really show the progression.
Okay, let's do it.
Step 1 is the open. You need to check for availability, but without applying any pressure. And that's your, do you have any plans, leading to their not yet.
Step 2 is the invitation. You need to be polite, and the other person needs to show enthusiasm. So that's the would you like to, which gets the oh, I'd love to in response.
Step 3 is the details. This is where you manage expectations and lock down the logistics. That's the I'm not very good at art, followed by the at 10:30 and the suggestion to grab lunch.
And finally, step 4 is the close, confirming that this is real and it's happening. And that's the sounds like a plan.
If you follow those 4 basic steps, you can make plans with anyone in almost any situation. It works for colleagues, it works for new friends, it could even work for a first date.
Now, before we wrap everything up, I want to touch on the homework assignment that Alice gives in the source material. It's a great point. She asked the listeners to practice using the phrase, I'm going to.
Yes, this is a great little grammatical shift that happens right at the end of the planning phase. Throughout the entire conversation, they were using future tense questions like, do you have plans? Or conditional phrases like, would you like? They were possibilities.
But once the plan is made, the grammar changes. It's no longer a possibility, it's a certainty. I am going to the art gallery.
It's the result of all that successful planning. It's a statement of fact about the future now.
It uses the present continuous tense, I am going, to talk about a future arrangement. And that tense implies that the plan is fixed. It's on the calendar. It's happening.
Exactly. So for our listeners, this is a really practical way to practice. Think about your own weekend. Even if you don't have a specific plan yet, make one up in your head. Say it out loud to yourself. On Saturday, I'm going to visit my grandmother, or this afternoon, I'm going to grab a coffee with a friend. Practice that feeling of certainty.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to listen to this deep dive again to catch all the details.
That sounds like an excellent plan.
So let's bring it all home. What does this all mean for us? Why should we care so much about Anna and Leo and their weekend burgers?
Because at its heart, language is about connection. All the grammar rules we talked about, the at versus on, the definition of usually, the structure of would you like, they're just tools. They're not the goal. The goal is the connection. The goal is spending meaningful time with other people.
And using these specific phrases we've analyzed, the soft openers, the polite invitations, the casual vocabulary like grab, that is how you build the connection. It removes the friction from social interactions. It makes you someone that people want to make plans with.
That's it, exactly. If you walk up to someone and ask, "What is your plan?" they might feel interrogated and defensive. If you walk up and ask, "Do you have any plans?" they feel seen and considered. These seemingly small changes in language create huge changes in your relationships.
I love that. Small changes in language create big changes in relationships. That's a quote to put on the refrigerator.
I might just put it on a sticky note on my monitor.
So as we finish up, here's a final provocative thought for you to think about as you go about your day. The source material ends with Anna and Leo agreeing to meet at the gallery. We know that Leo isn't very good at art, but we can infer he probably loves grabbing burgers.
A man of brilliant contrasts.
He is. So how do you think that dynamic will play out during their actual time together? Will Anna have to be the teacher, the expert, explaining all the art to him?
And then when they get to the burger place, will Leo suddenly become the expert? Will he be the one explaining the difference between a smash burger and a regular patty?
That's a fascinating question. Maybe the power dynamics shift halfway through. Anna leads in the gallery. Leo leads at lunch. That would be a sign of a true partnership, wouldn't it?
It would. It shows that they both have things to offer. It all balances out.
And that's a good reminder for all of us that language learning is a journey, just like their date. It happens one step at a time. You open the conversation, you invite, you plan the details, and then you close the deal.
Don't try to rush it. Just enjoy the dance.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the delicate art of making weekend plans. We hope you feel a little more ready to go out there and ask that magic question.
Do you have any plans for the weekend?
And we hope the answer you get is not yet, but I'd love to hang out.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening.